Woman adopts abandoned dog, then receives unsuspecting news just days later. When Chicago Animal Control first saw Roosevelt, he looked like any other stray. His fur was dirty, his paws were caked with mud, and he had the skittish temperament of a dog who'd been on his own for a while. But when they looked into his scared eyes, they realized the truth. This dog wasn't a stray. He'd been abandoned by his previous owner. They had no clue just how much this dog had survived, and that he still had one more hurdle to overcome. When Kelly, Michael, and Sarah Lauch first laid eyes on Roosevelt, their hearts broke. The pit bull was in the care of Chicago Animal Control alongside other abandoned dogs. But there was something about his big, scared eyes that touched the dog lovers' hearts. And then they heard his story. It turned out that Roosevelt's unkempt appearance had an explanation. He'd been abandoned at an animal control center by his previous owner, who'd attached a single note to Roosevelt's cage. Has problems urinating. But Roosevelt's problems went far beyond his bathroom habits. It was one thing for a regular dog to be abandoned, but a pit bull? Since this breed is widely misunderstood as being violent, Kelly and Sarah knew that the odds of ever being adopted were stacked against Roosevelt. They immediately connected with the despondent-looking pup. I watched him relax quietly in his cage while all the other dogs barked and jumped to get my attention. He looked so sad and tearful, Sarah wrote on Facebook. The dog lovers knew their connection with Roosevelt was no accident. They were meant to be Roosevelt's new owners. Thanks to the organization, one tail at a time, the women were officially able to adopt Roosevelt. After a quick once-over from the vet, they took Roosevelt home. When they first let him out of his cage, Roosevelt did something they'd never seen him do before. He perked right up. They gave him a big hug, elated by the idea of giving him a happy life in their home. Roosevelt, who the ladies shortened to Roo, had never looked happier, which was when the newfound family ran into some unexpected trouble. The women noticed that Roo's urinary problems weren't going away, so the vet conducted a more thorough exam than had been done before. To Kelly and Sarah's devastation, the vet returned with horrible news. Roo had late-stage bone cancer. The prognosis was bleak. Roo probably had, at most, 3 months or so to live. Kelly and Sarah had to decide whether they should return Roo to the shelter, where he would live out his days on someone else's dime, or if they'd take him in and pay for his expensive medical bills themselves. For the dog lovers, it was an easy decision to make. They scooped Roo up and brought him home without any hesitation. Roo may not have had a lot of time left, but that didn't mean he couldn't live out his remaining days in total happiness. With that, Kelly and Sarah came up with a plan. Roo, who didn't seem to be aware of his ailment, looked happier than he'd ever been. The ladies knew one thing: they'd pamper the pooch as much as possible over the next few months. To keep track of their plans for Roo, they came up with an unusual bucket list for the dog. Item by item, they were able to cross things off the list. Roo swam in a lake for the first time, gobbled down some ice cream, received relaxing therapeutic massages, and was even a frequent visitor at Taco Bell. Even with all this done, the list wasn't even halfway completed. And Kelly and Sarah didn't plan on the list ever being finished. You see, they planned on adding to the list as much as possible, until Roo entered his final days. After every unforgettable moment with Roo, Kelly and Sarah shared an important message on social media. With the hashtag #LiveLikeRoo, the ladies hoped to inspire others to live every day as if it were their last. And the message really took off. Complete strangers reached out to Kelly and Sarah directly with their own contributions to add to Roo's bucket list. Kind supporters of Live Like Roo sent the foster parents dog toys, treats, food, and even gift cards. Even with his scary diagnosis, Roo seemed just as happy and healthy as he did before, and his dedication to living freely inspired others to do the same, according to Sarah. People have sent me direct messages, and fans have invited us to their lake house, Sarah said on Roo's now viral Facebook page dedicated to his final months. Some dog owners even re-examined their relationships with their furry friends. Now all the owners are doing things with their own dogs. Even with all this positivity, Kelly and Sarah never forgot the reality of the situation. Roo's days were numbered. Even if we've known him for such a short time, the mere thought of having to put him down at some point makes us cry, Sarah admitted. Until that day arrived, however, Rue had a packed schedule. Kelly and Sarah planned on having him visit schools, surprise a couple on their honeymoon, go to a hockey game, and celebrate Christmas. But in early September, Sarah took to Facebook with some sad news. "We had lots of plans with Rue," she wrote, describing all their happy times together. "But it was time. He was in pain." After a few happy months together, it was clear that Rue's cancer had progressed to a point where Rue wasn't living a full life. Kelly and Sarah made the tough decision to say goodbye. "It was one of the toughest days ever, and it hurts a lot," Sarah wrote on Facebook. "We love that you felt like he was yours. That's what we wanted." Though their time with Rue was short, Kelly and Sarah found a great way to honor his life. They started the Live Like Rue Foundation, which centers on helping families and dogs affected by cancer. So let's mourn, but let's keep going and make him proud. Rue may have passed too soon, but his legacy left something truly special behind. Rue meant so much to all of us, and we're so happy that this message is spread throughout the world, Sarah wrote to her and Kelly's thousands of Facebook friends. But another stereotype-breaking pit bull like Rue was diagnosed with a life-threatening medical condition. However, in her case, time allowed for the couple who adopted her to act quickly enough to save her life. Please share this with your friends and family.